A series of drug-related shootings has plunged Marseille into grief. At least about 3 people were shot dead and a dozen others were injured in a turf war between rival drug gangs over the past weekend. Terming the spiraling drug-related violence as a huge task that still remains, the French Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin has announced that nearly about 509 people have been arrested over drug trafficking crimes this year, in addition to the seizure of a ton of cannabis and about 48 kilograms of cocaine from the city of Marseille alone. So how serious is the problem of drug trafficking in France? And what is the French government doing to curb narco crime?
A flare-up in drug gang violence in the crime-plagued French port city of Marseille has left at least 3 dead. 2 of these men, in their early 20s, suffered fatal gunshot wounds in Castellas, a cul-de-sac housing project in northern Marseille. In a sign of the brutal violence that took place, around 50 bullet casings were found by police on location. The third casualty was a 16-year-old boy who died in the gritty La Joliette district.
It has to stop. It's getting more and more violent. And then you realize they are 14 years old, 13 years old. They are babies. They are babies. We have to do something to prevent them from falling into the trap of the gang networks. We have to help these young people.
A majority of these victims were extremely low in the networks controlling the narcotics trade. The city of Marseille, the second most populous in France, has steadily built notoriety as an important gateway for drugs such as cocaine and marijuana in Europe. The 3 separate shooting incidents have fueled fears that tit-for-tat violence between rival gangs is spiraling. A brutal turf war is underway, rooted in the notorious Paternelle housing estate in northern Marseille. The Paternelle housing estate is a series of rundown, low-rise buildings where drugs are openly sold and police are unwelcome. The 2 warring gangs are fighting over the dealing spots and have entered into a cycle of vendettas.
This is not new, as you know. It is something which unfortunately continues year after year, and we are really in an environment which is particularly worrying and in which we think it will continue over the coming months. A process which we have also talked about a lot with you and which worries us a lot is obviously the rejuvenation of the victims.
32 people were shot dead in gang violence in Marseille last year. This figure was the highest since 2016. This year, in just 3 months, 13 have lost their lives. Though the southern port city of Marseille is universally renowned for its picturesque Mediterranean setting, its northern districts are some of the most deprived urban areas. In September 2021, French President Emmanuel Macron had unveiled a €1.5 billion plan to help Marseille tackle crime and deprivation. The effort was billed as the duty of the nation. With the recent escalation in crime and drug-related violence, it is anyone's guess how effective such efforts have been so far.